The story of Tsurune, the linking shot, is a quiet, beautiful look at how we heal from our past mistakes and find the strength to start over. It is centered around the traditional Japanese sport of Kudo or archery. In this world, archery is not just about hitting a target, it is a spiritual practice that requires perfect posture, deep concentration, and inner peace. The sound made by the bowstring when an arrow is fired, the tsurune, is seen as a sign of the archer's soul. The story takes place in the setting of a high school archery club, where the strict rules and rituals of the sport create a space for the characters to grow. Because the sport is so focused on stillness and precision, the archery range becomes a place where the students can't hide from their true feelings. They are forced to confront their fears every time they step up to take a shot. Minato Naramiya, the main character, is struggling with a condition called target panic. This is a real psychological issue where an athlete becomes so afraid of missing or failing that they literally can't perform the action they have practiced 1,000 times. Minato's trauma comes from a bad experience in the past that shook his confidence and made him want to quit the sport he loves.
His main goal throughout the series is not to win the most trophies or beat every rival. It is simply to regain his love for archery and learn to shoot with a clear, calm heart. His journey is slow and often painful because he has to unlearn the bad habits caused by his fear, one small, frustrating step at a time. It is a story about patience and the understanding that true progress often happens in tiny, invisible ways. The antagonists in the story are not evil people trying to ruin everything. Instead, they are the pressures that Minato and his teammates face, both from themselves and from the people around them. Rival archers and strict coaches act as mirrors. They show the characters what happens when you focus too much on winning or being perfect, which can lead to a loss of the very spirit that makes archery meaningful. These rivals often believe that victory is the only thing that matters, which creates a sharp contrast with Minato's need to find personal peace. They push the members of the club to ask themselves why they are really there. This keeps the story focused on internal growth rather than just the excitement of a competition.
The environment of the school club acts as a place where the students are tested. The pressure to win tournaments forces them to work as a team, which isn't always easy. They are all teenagers with their own personal problems, and when you put them together in a high-stakes setting, it creates a lot of friction. They have to learn to talk to each other, be honest about their weaknesses, and support one another even when things are going wrong. The plot moves forward as they learn that the success of the team depends on the honesty and health of each individual member. It's a story about building trust, both with your teammates and with yourself. The pacing of the show is very steady and calm, much like the process of drawing a bowstring. It doesn't rely on sudden plot twists or explosive action to keep the viewer's attention. Instead, it builds tension through the quiet moments before a shot is taken. We see the characters training for a long time, having long conversations and slowly building their skills. As the story continues, the focus shifts from Minato's personal struggles to the shared challenges of the whole team. This creates a very natural flow where every big tournament feels like a huge accomplishment because we have seen all the small, difficult hours of practice that led up to it.
Visually, the show is stunning because it focuses on the beauty of the archery range. The camera work is very still and patient, often staying on a character's face or their hands to show their intensity and nerves. Every detail, from the way a character grips the bow to the way they stand, is captured with great care. This makes the audience feel like they're right there on the range with them, feeling the same weight and pressure. The show uses visual details to tell us how a character feels without them needing to say a word. If someone is nervous, we see it in their shaking hands. If they are confident, we see it in their steady gaze. The sound design is perhaps the most important part of the series. The show is very careful about when to use music and when to let the natural world speak. The score is soft and melodic, helping to create a peaceful atmosphere. However, the most important sounds are the ones from the archery itself. The tension of the bow, the release of the string, and the sound of the arrow hitting the target. These sounds are given a lot of power in the mix because they tell us if the archer was truly focused.
When we hear that perfect ringing sound, we know the archer has found their balance. It's an experience that teaches the viewer to appreciate silence and stillness. By the end, the characters have to go through a major change. They have to let go of the idea that they need to win to be good enough. Minato has to learn that his past failures do not define who he is as a person or an archer. The characters learn that the most important thing is to be honest with themselves and to shoot with a clear intention. They realize that their greatest strength is not their skill, but their willingness to be vulnerable and open with their friends. It's a very mature conclusion that shows how much they have grown from being scared kids to confident young adults who are finally comfortable in their own skin. The series is ultimately about the idea that the way we live our lives is similar to how we shoot an arrow. It is not just about the target, it is about the effort, the focus, and the spirit we put into every action. It reminds us that even when we make a mistake or get scared, we can always reset, take a breath, and try again with a better mindset.
It is a deeply encouraging story that values hard work and self-honesty over superficial success. It leaves the viewer with the feeling that as long as we are trying our best and staying true to ourselves, we are on the right path. To go deeper, the friendship between Minato and his best friend, Seiya, is another highlight. Their bond goes through ups and downs, reflecting how even the closest friends can have trouble communicating when emotions are high. Watching them repair their relationship and learn to trust each other again is just as moving as the archery itself. It shows that personal growth is never a solo journey. We need our friends to help us see our own blind spots, and we need to be there for them when they are struggling too. It is this focus on human connection that makes the show feel so warm and relatable to anyone who has ever had a dream they were afraid to pursue. Ultimately, Tsurune is a masterclass in storytelling because it finds beauty in the ordinary. It turns the practice of archery into a metaphor for life, showing us that we all have target panic, the fear of failing at the things we care about the most.
By showing us how these characters overcome their nerves and learn to stand tall, the show offers a gentle but firm message of hope. It reminds us that even if our aim is off today, we have the chance to practice, to grow, and to eventually find our own perfect shot. It is a lovely, quiet, and meaningful experience that stays with you long after the final arrow is released.